Alrighty, so what have I got? I've got these. 1 and 2. Now, there's kind of 2 types of people. There are people who know who Focal are, and there are people who don't know who Focal are. I know who Focal are. I saw these secondhand. They came up on the Facebook Marketplace, and I grabbed them straight away. I sold my Scepter S6, and I just grabbed these. Before I go on about sound, because not many people do know Focal. Focal are handmade French speakers. They're arguably the best speaker makers in the world. They make home theatre speakers that can be up to $225,000, $300,000 per speaker, just for one speaker. So if you set up a home cinema with full surround sound Focal high end, you could literally be looking at $1 million just for your speakers. So what's in these? They have a 6.5 inch right there. They've got the tweeter, which is, that's the special thing. It's really hard to do. Where is it? It's there. So yeah, simple two-way. The 6.5 is 150 watt AB, but Focal invented their own amp tech. They wanted to get in an AB class amp for this bottom speaker, but the cabinets don't really have any cooling on them. There's no fins, it's just one very smooth box. So they went and invented their own amplification tech just for these speakers that gives you the power and the precision and the sound of AB amplification with the power consumption and the heat generation of Class D amplification, which is crazy. It is so cool. I'll get more into how that sounds after this. The tweeter. This tweeter here, 100 watts RMS just for the tweeter. Again, a separate AB class amp just for the tweeter, which is freaking amazing. So they're 250 watt RMS monitors. That's pretty wicked. That's insanely powerful. It's not about volume. I'll talk more about that in a minute. What made me always want a pair of these? They play, follow me here, they play from 40 hertz, so way down, to 40 kilohertz. 40 to 40 at -3 dB. So that's a fully useful 40 to 40. You can hear it all the way down. I've never heard 6.5 inch monitors that play this low, this clean. They are unreal. Unreal. Now, the 40 kilohertz extension, you can only hear up to 20 kilohertz, right? You jump on forums, people talk about monitors that go way beyond 20 kilohertz, and they make all these jokes about your dog will hear the better mixers and blah, 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 but it will make no difference to you. It does make a difference. It's not about the sound it plays, it's about the tweeter's breakup point. You get a really shitty metal dome tweeter, like the majority of them. Metal domes are hard to work with. And you look at a frequency graph and it gets to the top end of that spectrum near the 20 kilohertz and it just goes up off the charts. There's sibilance, it gets really harsh. That's the sound breaking up, it's distorting. The fact these play up to 40 kilohertz, what that means, you're not gonna hear that top 20 kilohertz, but it means the breakup point is so high that every high frequency that you can hear rolls off perfectly smooth, perfectly. There is no sibilance, there is no distortion. Once you've heard Beryllium, you'll understand what I mean. I don't know where you can even listen to these in Melbourne or Australia in general. I used to have a pair of Focal speakers in my car a few years ago, which is the stupidest place to ever have a good sound system because you have glass everywhere. You've got road noise, engine noise. There's no point in having a freaking Focal Utopia sound system in your car. Not a good idea. Oh yeah, so let's break it up a little bit. The woofer here goes from 40 to 1 kilohertz. The tweeter, that's crazy, right? Like normally woofers will go up to 2.5, 3, they'll play pretty high, even up to like 5 or 7 kilohertz and the tweeter will kick in. These tweeters cover from 1 kilohertz all the way up to 40,000. That's 5 octaves of sound. That all comes out of this tweeter, which means it leaves the woofer here heaps of room to play with bottom end and mid bass. And it has detail. Man, it has detail. Beryllium Tweeters. So beryllium is a very rare metal. It's very expensive. It's very, very hard to work with and it's extremely poisonous. Normal dome tweeters that face out this way, that go up, have issues with distortion and breaking up. Focal have put in years, they're the leaders in this tech. No one else does it like Focal. They've put in years and years of tech to get this inverted dome tweeter perfect. Absolutely perfect. They made it a concave dome, so it goes in, I think that's the right word. The reversing of the dome mixed with the 40 kilohertz, there's just nothing else on the planet. B&W makes some diamond tweeters in their, I can't remember what they're called. You see them in Abbey Road, have them in their studios. Go on Google, search Abbey Road Studios. They've got like a big separate mid-woofer capsule and then a diamond tweeter on top with like this big port on the back that lets all the pressure out. These berylliums, take them on. Hands down. I think I'd have to really A/B next to each other, blind test them. I think I prefer beryllium. Diamond's good. Diamonds, they're a bit piercing in their sound. These are smooth. They're not silk dome smooth, but they just don't have any sibilance at all. That's why they are so freaking expensive. Cool. The woofer, next thing. I've only had these for like a week, so I'm still kind of excited. I'm figuring them out. They're freaking amazing. Just wanted to make this review because there's no one doing reviews on these because I don't know where you buy them from, so no one owns them to do a review. Actually, the guy I bought these from was an old classical composer for the ABC, so I feel like the ABC, Channel 2, just decked out all their studios around the country, probably with Focal. They may have a contract, they have to use this gear. But that's a good sign. If big classical music orchestral control rooms are using Focal, trust them, man, they've got all the money in the world. If they can buy anything and they're getting these as their near fields, then onto a good thing. Now the woofer's just not a normal woofer. It looks very pretty. I do love these woofers. It's a layer of glass, then a layer of foam, and then a layer of glass. From what I've read, they're essentially glass. They are a glass cone. The foam's in there to hold the two films of glass together. Kind of ironic. The last thing you ever want in a control room or a monitoring room is glass, which I have here. You see the light flooding in. So now I have glass in my 6.5-inch woofer. Every monitor I've ever had, you get, like, if they play down low, maybe like 46, 47 hertz, usually at about a -6 dB, so kind of useful, but not really. You get a kick. You get your bottom end, you get your synth, and it kicks. Like, it just hits you, so you're like, yeah, I can work with that, you know, I can hear what's going on enough in there. I can't clean up sub-frequencies, but I can hear what's going on to work with that bottom end. I've heard these before. I had them in my car. I actually had a 4-way in my car. It was insane. I had this tweeter, a 3-inch W woofer, just like this one here, then this exact woofer, and then an 8-inch sub, all made of the same stuff, the exact same line. Still to this day, that's the cleanest sounding sound system I have ever heard. I soundtracked the crap out of my car as well. It only sounded great if the car was off and you were just sitting inside of it, listening to music. It was a bit weird. I sold it. There was no point. These, because this room is better than having it in a car, you will not, and I will dare anyone out there, leave a comment below if you think there's a set I should check out. I reckon for anything going down to 40 hertz, these cones put out in a 2-way, 3-way's cheating, that's a whole different ball game. These cones put out so much detail in the bottom end, you'll just laugh. My first reaction when I came home and I put on a mix, I just laughed. It's the kick. I was listening to something with an acoustic kick drum, and my old monitors, my monitors before that even, the thump was there. There was a kick. You could just feel the frequency of whatever was coming out of that drum. Through these, if you knew your stuff, you can hear that like the felt hammer on the kick drum is wearing thin. You can hear reflections coming off the rim of the drum around the skin. Like, you can tell what wood the drummer's sticks are made of if it's on a snare. It's just insane. A lot of that though isn't just the woofer, it's also the fact the tweeter comes in at 1 kilohertz. That's nuts. Just detail. Some people have said, and on forums some people go on about saying they're really in your face and really full on and really intense. Personal preference. I say they aren't at all. Not at all. If you're used to hearing, or you purposefully hunt down speakers that give you crystal clear detail over warmth and comfortable music listening, you'll be used to this sound and you'll love this sound. If you've spent your whole life listening to really laid back silk dome tweeters, speakers that are designed that you can just listen to them at high volumes all day, every day, in and out, no fatigue ever, yeah, I'm not a big fan. Warm to me always sounds, these are just subjective words, always sounds muffled, a little bit tame. I always feel like I'm lacking detail, or if the detail's there, I have to listen. I really have to put in the effort to listen for that detail. These just give it to you. From 40 to 40. They just give you every single inch of what's going on. I think they're flat. They use the same tweeter and the same cone in a huge range of speakers that they make. So these two components aren't made just for monitoring purposes, which comes to the box. The cabinet itself and the amplification they've used is what makes a difference. There's such a big leap up in terms of what I've owned and what I've listened to before that I'm still trying to figure out how flat they are. I think honestly, my opinion is these are by far the flattest speakers I've ever heard. And because of that, they sound so different to everything else that I'm still a little bit in like that romance period where I'm trying to suss them out. They're not cheap, but they're a little bit old, a little bit. Focal works so hard on their tech, which is one of the reasons why they're so expensive. It's all in-house. It's years, it's like generations of R&D in this company. Brand new, they average $2,000 each. So they're about $4 grand, 4,000 bucks for these. It's kind of it. It's kind of the final foot for two-way monitoring, especially in a home studio. These are probably overkill for my room. Like, my room actually sounds pretty great. The glass window here is a pain in the butt, but I manage with it. I can deal with that. It's all about that Beryllium Tweeter. If you like them, you like them. Like, you really like them. They're just, there's no one else that does them like that. Not like this. This is Focal's jam, man. It's what they do. Those little things there. A replacement just for that tweeter. Those tweeters are like 2,000 bucks just for the tweeter. It's a bit weird. You can get the whole unit for $2,000, but if you want to replace that one bit, it's the same price. That's kind of it. They're not super heavy. They're 11 kilos, which isn't massive. That's kind of about your weight for good two-way 6.5-inch monitors. The cabinets are beautiful. They look really, really lush. You can just tell Focal, if you just Google Focal speakers and go to images and just look at their designs, that's their thing. It's a European thing. They just rock at making stuff look good. The veneer on the side, or oak, or whatever it is, this here. You can get them in black all the way around. I got these secondhand, so I didn't have a choice. I do love the red though. It works with my foam that I have here, which is kind of great. Yeah, two-way Beryllium Tweeter, glass woofer, 40 to 40 at -3 dB, so completely useful. The most detailed monitors I've ever heard, period, out of a two-way. I think Atom have just released a new S line of two-way monitors that are about $6,000. That'd be cool to hear. Their tweeters are just getting better and better. So Atom's new tweeter, I feel like that's where all the money is. $5,000 for a pair of two-way speakers. That'll probably give them a run for their money. The Dynaudio, the top-end Dynaudio two-ways, gonna get this wrong, are they BM12s, BM15s, is that what they're called? I think that's up around the same kind of ballpark. Neumann, what do they make? The KH120s, nah, different, these are a completely different league, stuff like that. Genelec, halfway. Genelec, again, not in the same league as this. Yeah, if you can, have a listen to these. If I get bored of these, I don't think I will. Like everything, I'll probably sell them. I'll try something else. I'll step up again and just do more reviews and see what's going on. Brought these home, and I've never said this before about a pair of monitors. Like sometimes I will say something like, I'll bring a new pair home, I'll hear things in my mix I haven't heard before. These are the first pair of monitors I've ever brought home. And of course, instantly, I heard things in the mix I'd never heard before, but I made a mix that I'd been working on that day when I went to pick these up, instantly made my mix go from here to off the camera, up here. Detail, 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 detail. I went from, what I had before was great. They were the top line of another company, but they come in at like 1,400 bucks. It's not all about money, but in terms of Focal, when you start dealing with speakers like this, money kind of does reflect what's going on, because you're paying for the R&D, you're paying for all this tech, like this tweeter, this cone, the kind of amplification that's going on in here, the design of the cabinet inside. There's a lot of years of research that goes into that. There's a lot of stuff made just by that company, just to manufacture this one product. They can't use it for anything else. They've got whole laboratories working just to make Beryllium Tweeters. And then yeah, same as like the new Atom that are coming out, the new S range that are $6,000, which is really expensive. It's about their tweeter. It'll be, again, about their own woofer. They're inventing new technology in-house to make those two components just get better and better and better. Better amplification that's smaller, makes less heat, less distortion. Try and find a pair of Focals to listen to. Just any. Make sure they have to have a Beryllium tweeter. There are Focals out there, the CMS 65s and CMS 50s, I think, are the other Focals. A lot of people have them. Not even near the same ball game as these. Go on forums and some guys will compare them. That's a weird comparison. Entirely different woofer, entirely different tweeter, entirely different amplification. The CMS are like prosumer, consumer kind of range. These are fully professional. They're giving you, I don't know, I don't understand. I've heard the CMS 65s and they sounded great, but they don't sound anywhere near as great as these. You know when you listen to a good speaker or a good monitor and you haven't listened to anything else that day and you get blown away because you think it sounds great because you got fresh ears, but then you get something much, much better, put it next to it and play that, and then that sounds great. I think that's kind of what's happening. People hear the other focal range of monitors, but there's nowhere to hear these, so they can't A and B them. Veil is lifted off with these, that's a good way to explain. Any monitor I've ever heard sounds like you're listening through a wall, removes mud, no distortion at all. Cleanest, tightest, thickest bass out of any 6.5-inch monitor I've ever heard. Find them secondhand. They're popping up all over the shop. I don't know why. People sell them. I think people maybe just get bored, want to try something else. I don't know what you would move on to though from these. The only reason you would move on from these is to try a different tweeter again. You wouldn't go back to normal tweeter tech. You wouldn't go back to a soft dome tweeter. You wouldn't go back to just like a normal titanium tweeter. You'd probably move on to a ribbon design, or like a hardcore ribbon design, not like an El Cheapo one, but a proper ribbon, or a diamond tweeter. Diamond tweeters are, you're looking at 25,000 bucks for a pair of monitors, and monitors that have diamond tweeters are usually so big you need a monitoring room that's the size of a house. So yeah, gonna keep this one short. Just thought I'd talk about these because no one on the internet really does. There's like promo videos of dudes paid by Focal to sit there in their studio and just be like, I'm a mastering engineer, I'm a mix engineer. These are great, I use them on the road. It's not a dude in his home studio being honest about them. Yeah, honestly, there's a reason your normal music stores don't sell these, by the way, because they're so high end. You've got to see if there's a place in your town that deals with this kind of audio. Go check them out. Go check them out. Take something you really know, go listen to them. You'll fall in love with a Beryllium Tweeter instantly. It is probably one of the best things in the audio world to date. 2017, the technology here is like, that's at the forefront of how you should hear stuff. That's it. I'll do another review on my new stuff that I have here a bit later on. And for now, hope you enjoyed watching. Hope you learned some stuff, and I'll see you next time. See ya.